Hello friends, today we'll be talking about The Hand That Cast the Bone by H.L. Tinsley. So before I share my thoughts on The Hand That Cast the Bone by H.L. Tinsley, I always think it's important to mention how I structure my reviews or my Let's Talk About videos. So I'm weird about spoilers, and especially for a second book in a series, I'll be extra careful to not spoil anything for you. So when I discuss the book, I won't give you a beat by beat of what happens. I'll share my thoughts coming away from the book, and then you can decide whether or not it's for you or not for you. The Hand That Cast the Bone is the second book in the Vanguard Chronicles series, and its release date is in April. Now I'll put the release date down here on the screen so you know exactly when it's coming out. But I did receive an ARC for this book, and I'm very picky about which ARCs I receive, but I was really a huge fan of Wingman and Bastion Shadow, so I accepted this one because I was really excited to get a head start and read it before its release date. This series is described as Gaslight Grimdark, and if you're curious what that means, it's basically a setting like From Hell, but with some fantasy mixed in. So it's a darker fantasy, and I will not spoil Wingman and Bastion Shadow or this book as I explain my thoughts. This book continues right where we left off from Wingman and Bastion Shadow. And what I love about these books is it, first of all, it focuses on character. It focuses on character struggles, what they're going through, their mental health, their personal struggles, not only what's going on in the world, but the struggles internally that they're dealing with, challenges that they're dealing with, and changes that come along from the events of both books. And I always love when big things in worlds happen in these stories, and you can feel that these big things have big impacts. So again, I won't spoil anything, but the big events that happened from the first book, there's consequences from that, and everything isn't just perfect. You know, there are issues or there's problems. You know, these things happen, and there's always some kind of fallout from it. Things are never perfect. There's always something that works out wrong, or even if there's a bad event that happens, there's fallout from that too. So there's always something as a result of these events that happen, and this is one of those books that doesn't shy away from that, and that's what I really love about this series. Now, with that said, this book is hilarious. There's some great lines in it. There's some great banter back and forth, and it surprised me with how funny it was. Wingman and Bastion Shadow, the dialogue was very tight. And that's one of the things that I remember from that one, because I was impressed with how tight the dialogue is. And the same thing can be said about this one. There's not only the dialogue is funny, but some of the descriptions, and there's a specific scene with a cat that when you read it, you'll know, because it's hilarious. I've had some pretty good laughs from that those three words in particular, that some pretty belly aching laughs from it. In fantasy, I love when there's some crime and political maneuvering involved, but not so much that you can't follow along with what's going on. So the world is big, but it seems small. The story unravels in a way that everything seems contained, but you also know that there's a bigger world that is around this story that is bigger than what it may seem at first. Just to get an idea, the humor from this series reminds me a little bit of like a Guy Ritchie movie, kind of the crude, self-deprecating humor, and the interactions, like I said, were from some of the best parts of the book for me. I did enjoy every bit of this book. I really didn't have any complaints from it. I'm really looking forward to reading the third one when it's ready, but I'm so happy that we're getting this book now, because I did read Wingman and Bastion Shadow about 5-6 months ago. So I'm lucky to have had a chance to read this one a little bit early, because I was itching to get my hands on it. On an episode of Page Chewing, I had a chance to speak with H.L. Tinsley and author Tim Hardy with author P.L. Stewart, and we discussed what it's like to write a second book in a series, the expectations, kind of the things that change after that first experience, what to look out for, the things that, you know, how difficult it is to not want to disappoint your readers, but still tell the story you want to tell. And we also talked about having a voice, and that's something that really stuck out to me even before that conversation. Because in Wingman and Bastion Shadow was a great book. It was well written, but in The Hand That Cast the Bone, I did feel like the voice changed a little bit. The voice that was telling the story, it felt like H.L. Tinsley's voice was coming out, and it was her voice telling the story. It seemed you can tell the step up a little bit from the storytelling standpoint, and I did notice a difference there. It seemed confident to me, is the best way I can describe it. Is the writing and the storytelling, the characters, all of it seemed like it had more confidence. And so if you loved We Men of Ash and Shadow, I highly suggest picking up The Hand That Casts the Bone when it's available. And if you have not read We Men of Ash and Shadow, and you're into grimdark fantasy, you like some crime mixed in, great character moments, funny banter, a great story, really rounded characters, give We Men of Ash and Shadow a read, and then pick up The Hand That Casts the Bone. So have you read We Men of Ash and Shadow and or The Hand That Casts the Bone? If you have, let me know what you thought of them. As always, I hope this review was helpful. I will talk to you soon.